Dhruv, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony.
Absolutely. Let's kick it off with a one-word open. Can you give us one word right now to describe how you're feeling in this moment as we kick this off together?
Excited.
Me too. I love the energy so far. We've been talking offline for a little bit before we got started. So the energy is there. I'm excited as well. Take the next few minutes. Tell us who you are, what you do, and how you help people. That way we could kind of catch up with you there.
Absolutely. So my background goes back till 2010, which is when I did my education from Carnegie Mellon, which was into machine learning and data sciences. These were two big buzzwords back then. They are still buzzwords to a great extent right now as well. But I got an opportunity to kind of work in the real world as well after my graduation with this cutting edge technology. And in 2015, I started LogiNext, which was the whole thesis behind LogiNext at that point in time was to help large incumbents to move from their brick and mortar retail space to an online fulfillment space. In order for them to do that, they had different kinds of e-commerce technologies, but they did not really have any fulfillment tech, which is what my idea behind LogiNext was. And LogiNext essentially today powers a lot of these large brick and mortar businesses to start doing deliveries offline as well. LogiNext currently serves more than 150 enterprise customers across more than 10 countries. Most of our revenue comes from US, but we have a large team in India, which powers the backend of the software, and that's the brain behind the software as well. And yeah, we've been lucky to have investors like Tiger Global Management, Steadview Capital, Alibaba Ventures, and a few other angels as well. And it's been a great ride over the last 7 years.
Absolutely. I think you have a unique offering to the marketplace, which gets a lot of attention, right? So because you're making a big difference. I would love to stay back on the origin, how you got started. Tell me about that aha moment. Like, what was that moment that you said, aha, I got to do this. I got to kick it off. I got to go to market. Tell us where you were, how the thoughts came to you, and then you launched.
So this was back in 2014 when I used to, at that time I used to work for Deloitte, which is one of the largest consulting firms. And as a consultant, I used to advise large, Fortune 500 customers with their e-commerce strategy, right? And a lot of time, these large organizations, they struggle to kind of come, down below from a strategic level to more of an execution level. The biggest missing piece at that time on this strategic kind of view becoming reality was that they did not really have technology to start doing fulfillment when they start doing, e-commerce. At that time, Amazon was, just picking up, going global. They had first, Amazon had filed, I remember, the first profitable quarter at that point in time. So all these, incumbents and large companies like Walmart, Sears, Targets of the world, they were waking up to start competing against Amazon in the e-commerce world. Now, when that happens, the biggest struggle that companies face is that the biggest difference between a brick and mortar business and an e-commerce business is that you have to make sure that you deliver packages to your customers as quickly as possible and as cheaply or cost effectively as possible, practically free, right? Because nobody pays for deliveries. Now, these are the kind of two things which are most brick and mortar businesses are not really used to. And that was my aha moment that, if these guys don't really have a technology to really go to market from a fulfillment perspective, if they can't really deliver the packages on their own to the customers, they will always be reliant on other carriers like a UPS, FedEx, and USPS, and there's going to be a limit to what they can do from a customer experience perspective, while Amazon will keep kind of climbing the ladder and keep acquiring more and more market share. And with that aha moment, I kind of took a plunge with this idea of creating a platform which allows retail enterprises to start doing deliveries as quickly as possible and as cost effectively as possible.
Outstanding. Let's get into the why. Can you share with me your personal why? I know there's a lot of impact you're driving globally. So tell me your personal why that, in a good way makes you stay excited and push forward. And also that why sometimes could kind of keep us up at night as well to make sure we're hitting the why, right? So tell me about that.
Well, for me personally, I was always entrepreneurial in nature. I was 25 years old when I started LogiNext, right, roughly 7 years ago from today. And for me, I strongly believe that enterprise software and enterprise technology is a big untapped market across every single vertical. Be it a logistics SaaS or a delivery SaaS or a salon SaaS software or an enterprise solution being offered to financial industry, to retail industry, to CPG industry, to oil and gas industry. There's so many different kinds of softwares which can be offered to these large businesses. And this is a huge market opportunity, right? Because most people, it's very difficult to build this business and go to market and sell to enterprises. So most people, while they know how to build software, they give up on the go-to-market side. They can never sell at scale. And that becomes a big bottleneck. But at the same time, that leaves a huge market opportunity untapped. For me, the why comes from there, where I always wanted to kind of make it large in my life by making a huge impact. And for me, I've always been a B2B guy. So for me, the impact, whenever I think about impact, I think about the impact on the businesses, on large organizations. And for me, if I can really truly create enterprise software, which makes a difference, take it to the market, sell it to customers, get them on board and make them successful, I think that would be a huge, huge win for me. And that also, of course, ultimately makes me allows me to create large wealth opportunity for myself, for my shareholders, and for my people as well, which are working at LogiNext now. So I think that's what the why for me is. At the same time, this why also keeps me up at night, because as we grow more and more, the hunger to make it larger also keeps increasing. As more and more shareholders and people get added to this ecosystem, to this LogiNext entity, the responsibility keeps on increasing to make sure that they all become successful. And that's what keeps me up at night.
Thanks for sharing that with us. I know it's a lot, right? But it's, to sum it up quickly like that, it's a deep why, as you were mentioning. It keeps you up at night. It keeps you motivated. So thanks for sharing that with us. I know it resonated with me personally, what you were just saying. So let's shift over to your company. I would love to hear, what are the top 3 things that are the biggest driver of impact for, what are the top 3 things that make you most successful? There's a lot of things, and you're super successful at what you do, but what are the top 3 things that you think drive that success?
I think the number one thing that drives success for LogiNext is agility. I think we're not building rockets. We're not doing something. We're not building technology which is going to be truly differentiated for next 2 decades to come. Right? There's competition out there. There are large companies with large resources which can enter our space as well. And that's why it's very important for us to be flexible and being able to move ahead very quickly. So agility is one key principle that kind of makes us successful, and we kind of keep on preaching that more and more, and keep on institutionalizing it more in our people to help us make help us go ahead fast as much as we can. The second one on the list would be I think transparency. I think in generally in software world, there's so much of noise. So many people are claiming that they are doing ABC, but the reality could be different. And it becomes very difficult for enterprises or any customers to build trust on the platform or services that they're buying. And I think, so we stand by transparency in terms of our sales process, in our delivery process, even internally for our people. We are very, very transparent in terms of our company performance, the challenges that we face, the customers' feedback that comes, and so on and so forth. So I think that's something which is like a second foundational pillar for us, which makes us successful. And I think third is, go big, go home kind of thinking, right? Because this is our one shot in life. So we are, the average age of the employees in our company is roughly 31 right now. It used to be 28 3 years ago. So very young organization from the energy and age perspective, and everybody feels that this is their biggest shot in life that they want to take and make it large. So every single thing that we do, we always make sure that we are thinking it large. We can take it to a larger scale, right? So even if there is a way to hit the next milestone in a quicker way, which may not scale tomorrow, we would not take that route. We would take a longer route, which can help us make it larger at the end of the day, right? So that's the kind of thinking that we have, and that's the kind of people we attract. That's the kind of customers also we attract. So go big, go home is the third success mantra that we have.
I love it. So agility, transparency, go big or go home.
That's right.
Beautiful. Let's talk about the future. What's the future outlook for your organization? From your leader, what's your take? Where are you guys heading? What are you guys up to?
So we have been growing, more than 100% year on year in terms of our top line. I think we have another 2 to 4 years during which we can maintain a similar growth rate. And I think that will allow us to hit $100 million of revenue run rate milestone, which is what our immediate midterm milestone is. And once we hit that, we would ideally like to kind of take our company public, where we would like to, celebrate the IPO movement, create, true liquid wealth for our employees, for our shareholders who have always, have been patient and working hard with us over all these years. Yeah, so I think, in simple words, we want to do an IPO in next 4 to 5 years. And as long as we can maintain these 100% year-on-year revenue growth rate, we can keep doubling our revenue year on year, and that compounds very quickly. So from current number to 100 million number, we can get there very, very soon.
Awesome. And if you want to take this opportunity to give out your website address, that way our listeners, if they want to find out more information, they'll know exactly where to find you.
It is LogiNextSolutions.com, but even if you simply Google my name or LogiNext on Google or any other search engine, you'll find tons of information about us. So, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Here we are at the end. Sign us off with a one-word close and tell us why you're choosing this word to sign us off with.
One word. I would say entrepreneurship. The reason why I'm picking this word is because this is the decade for entrepreneurs. We have seen a lot of startups making it large, but in this decade from 2020 to 2030, we're going to see hundreds and thousands of founders and entrepreneurs across the world getting same opportunity to kind of make it large. And by 2030, we'll have tons of companies, being public, and tons of founders being wealthy, tons of founding team being wealthy, and tons of shareholders making a lot of money on these successful businesses. So a great time to start your business, and entrepreneurship is the word for me today.
Awesome. I wanted to thank you for this meaningful conversation.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for having me.